Okay guys, I had a couple people ask about doing this Capstone project, Access Module 1-3. So I've gone there, gone to the basics, got the 3 files to download, put all 3 files in a folder here, set them up, instructions, startup file, and supplemental file. Okay, so let's pop open the instructions. Okay, the instructions then, as always, say change the file from a -1 to a -2. We all know about that. So let's open it up. There we go. Enable. Do a file, save as. Save as. Going to point this at the same folder that we're using. Keep all of our files together. Spring 21. There it is. Change it from a -1 to a -2. Already done that, but we'll just replace it with a fresh copy for you. Okay, here's my instruction sheets. First one says, now we're going to go along here, and it says create a new table in the datasheet view. Okay, let's go over here. File, create a new table. This is the datasheet view. First thing it says is default primary key. Okay, change the name of this to advertiser ID. Okay, advertiser ID. Change the data type. So here it is. Change the data type. Once I enter that, I can go over here and change it to short text. Okay. Now, this also should remain the primary key. So let's check its properties. Okay, there we go. We can always check that in a minute here. Okay, let's see here. Add a new field. Go along the way here. And this is going to be a short text also. And this one's going to be called advertiser name. Advertiser name. All run together as one word. Okay. Enter. Third field is also going to be a short text. This is going to be contact L name. Contact L for last name. Okay. Next one's going to be a short text, and that's going to be contact first name. Okay, contact first name. Okay, next one's going to be a currency field, and that's going to be called cost. Okay. Now, we got all that. Oops, my bad. Let me fix my spelling. Okay, cost. Then it says save this. So I can go over to, if you try to close it, it will prompt you for saving. Yes. Then we want to change this and call this advertisers. Okay. There we go. Now just to check here, we have now created the advertisers field. I'm going to open this up in design view just to guarantee that this first field maintains its status as the primary key field. And just as poking around here, looks like I've got an extra space there. Okay, here we go. Advertiser name, contact, last name, first name, and cost. Looks good. Okay, happy with that. Save the changes. Step 2, use the import spreadsheet wizard to import the data from the spreadsheet that we downloaded and append this to the advertisers. Here's our advertisers table. It says go get external data. External data is going to be, okay, we got it here. We are going to import from a file of the Excel variety. Then we want to make sure we look in our same directory where we've been doing everything. There's our Excel spreadsheet that they gave us. There. We want to append this. Append means add it to the end of the advertisers table that we've created. Okay, there we go. There's our data all nicely spread out. So next, it shows that the top line is our headings. Fine. Okay. There we go. Looks good. Import. We don't want to save this, so we're good. We don't need to save our steps. And now if we open up our advertisers table that we just created, it's populated with a lot of good stuff. Cool. Now, moving on to step 3. Create a new table in design view. Create a table, and I got to tell you, tables in design view is the way I usually do it. Okay, so here we're going to say add a field with the name sponsor ID. Sponsor ID, and this is going to be a short text field of the size of 4. Okay, and that is going to be, I believe, set this Spencer ID as our key field. Yes. Next one. Sponsor name. Sponsor name, also a short text. No information about changing the size, so I guess we'll leave it at 255. Okay, next one is the third field. It's going to be amount. And this is going to be a currency data type. Okay, here we go. Save the table. Yes, I want to save it. Save it as sponsors. Okay, so now we have a table here called sponsors and a table called advertisers. Save the table with the sponsors table open, and there's our data sheet view. Now we're going to put in the data they tell us, and they want us to add this record. Resize the sponsor name. If you double click on it, it will automatically resize to show you everything you need to know. Okay. Righty, now we start putting in our data. SO20, enter, dynamic growth, and the amount is 5,000. All right, there we go. Then I guess here it says here, save the changes and close. Close it, save it. Okay, there we go. Now I'm on step 5. Open the attendees table. The attendees table in datasheet view, which is the normal view. Okay, change the name of the street field using address as the new. So instead of street, they want us to change the name of this to address. I just double clicked on it. It came up in an edit mode and just typed in the new information on top of it. Add a new field at the end of the table. Click to add. This new field, it says here, is going to be a short text data type, and it's going to be called cell phone. Okay, cell phone. There we go. Then it says save the changes. I'm just going to click off it. Close. All saved. Use the simple query wizard. Okay, so we're going to create a query wizard of the simple variety. Okay, and we're going to be based on, first off, the attendees table. That's good. We want to have the attendee ID, the first name, watch the order, and the last name, and then the cell phone number. Okay, then it says OK. Now it says save the query using attendee contact info. Attendee contact info. Okay. View the query results. There we go. Viewing the results. And then it says close the query. Fine. Alrighty. Step 8. Use the form wizard to create a form for the advertisers table. Okay, so we make sure we highlight the advertisers table. We are going to use the form wizard. Advertisers table. Alrighty. And it says here include the advertiser ID and the cost. Oh, excuse me, advertiser ID, name, and cost. Then it says select the column layout. Save this as advertiser singular cost data. Okay. View the form. There it is. Close it. Step 9. Use the report wizard. Okay. Create using the report wizard. Okay. This is going to be based on the attendees table. Make sure you read carefully. Attendees table. Now we're going to use the last name, first name, city, and state. Don't group it. It says do not add any grouping. Okay, we don't need to group them. Sort them by ascending, by last name, ascending order. Okay, select the tabular form. It is. Portrait layout. It is. Okay, assign the name attendee locations. Watch that they're always taking that plural out of there. Attendee locations. Yeah, they'll ping you on having misspelled the name of the report. Okay, finish. There's my report, and close it. Step 10. Create a query in Design View. Create a query in Design View. Okay, this query then is going to use the attendees table. Okay, there's my attendees table. And in this query, we're going to pull down the last name, the first name, the city, and the state fields. Populates them left to right. Sort the records ascending by last name. Last name, ascending. Add a criteria to select only when the city matches Philadelphia. Okay, watch your spelling. All right, Philadelphia. Okay, now let's run the query. And there's our Philadelphias. And then it says save the query. So we're going to close it. And we're going to say save it. And we're going to call this Philadelphia attendees. Philadelphia attendees. Bingo, bango. There we go. Open the guest and workshop query. Here's our guest and workshop query in Design View. Right click, Design View. There it is. Okay. So then it says here, add the registration fee field to the guide immediately following attendee. So what they want us to do is they want us to add it in here. Okay. So I believe if I take the attendee ID field, hold my left mouse button down and drop it right here, it pushes it in there right after attendee ID. Oop, my bad. Let me undo that step. Sorry. We want to put in the registration fee. My bad. That's what we want to put there. Registration fee after attendee ID. Okay. Add a criteria to select only those records where the guest fee field is equal to 0. Okay, guest fee is 0. And the workshop fee is 0. So when we want an AND criteria, we want to run them directly across from each other. There's my 2 zeros. Open the query, run it. There's my guest fee and workshop fees as 0. Okay, close the query and save it. Yes. Now we're going to create a new query in Design View. Create a query in Design View. Okay, here we go. We are going to use both the attendees, attendees and registration tables. So we go here to our tables. We say we want the attendees table and we want the registration table. Notice I'm just double clicking on them and it automatically puts them up there. Okay, so now the table should automatically be joined, and they are by their common field, the attendee ID field. Add the first name, last name from the attendees. Okay, first name, last name from the attendees table, and then add the registration ID and the registration fee and workshop fee from the registration table. Okay, they say save it. I'm going to run it. I like to see that. I like to see that it all worked. Then when you try to close it here, it will ask you for a name, and that's a good time to put in attendee registration. Attendee registration. Okay, piece of cake. There's our query. We're good. Step 12. Now we're on step 13. Okay, open the OR states query. OR states query in design view. Right click, design. Here's my OR states. Okay, so what this is going to be is first it says move the state field so that is the first field in the query. So here's the state field. You click on here. If you grab the little top thing and then hold your mouse button in, oops, no, click on it. There, click on it there. Notice the little suitcase attached to my mouse pointer. Put it in there so it's the first field. Boom. I just dragged it over. Add the criteria to select only the states where the value is New York or New Jersey. It even says here, see your OR. So we want New York. And then if I just hit the down arrow, then New Jersey. And then the down arrow. This is my ORs, New York's or New Jersey's. Run it. There we go. New Jersey, New Jersey, New York, New Jersey. Okay. Then it says here, sort them in ascending order by the last name. Okay, go back here. Here's my last name. Sort it in ascending order. There's ascending order by last name. By state. So what it's going to do is it's going to organize the states together, and once the states are organized and it repeats itself, then it's going to go to the last name. It's a secondary sort. So here's NJ, 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 New Jersey's, and then once you go over here, it's Clark, Pot, Vargas. Then you got New York, New York, and it's Erickson, Ramos. Okay, there you go. So it's doing everything it says to do. Close that, save our changes, yes. The instructions even show you that query if you want to see it here. This is actually shown in your instructions. Make sure you got it right. Bingo. Wonderful. Now we're going to use what's called a cross-tab query wizard. This is where they get kind of tricky. We're going to create cross-tab queries can only be created with the wizard, and it's a cross-tab query. Okay. And now it says here if we follow the instructions, it's going to be based on the attendees table. Make sure you're based on the correct table. Okay. And once you've selected that, it says, what are we going to use for the rows? And it says, use the state for the rows. Then it says, what are you going to use for the columns? Okay, it says, use the city for the columns. Then it says, what are you going to do for the math? Okay, it says, take the number do you want to calculate it? It says, use the count of the attendee IDs. So it'll tell you how many people attended each thing. Okay, next. And then here we want to put this in, change the title here to state underscore city crosstab. Okay, state city crosstab. Finish. View it. So here's our states. Here's our cities. And once it cross-references a state and a city, North Carolina, Elizabeth, boom, 2 attendees. View the query. There you go. Close it. Step 15. Open the attendee first name query. Attendee first name query in design view. Here's our attendee first name. Okay, I select only the records whose the first name field begins with Lau. Okay, so we go over here now. Begins with means you have to use a wildcard, LAU, then use the asterisk to say, as long as it starts with LAU, I'm happy. Okay, there we go, like Lau. Now we could look at this, I always like to do this. Open the query, and then see we have Lauren and Laura, all the Laus. Okay, good. Confirm that the 2 records appear. Good. Close it. Step 16, open the state attendees query. State attendees query, again in design view. I'm right-clicking here to get that submenu up. Add the parameter criteria to the state field to replace there. So here's this, right? Now what we're going to do is we're going to, instead of just having to type in the state we want, we're going to use the square brackets. This is the parameter. And we're going to say enter desired state. And then close with the other square bracket. Got to use the square bracket. What this is going to do is when you run this query, this is going to be your prompt on the screen. Okay, cool. Now we run it. And just as we said, enter desired state is what you put in here. Now you can put in whatever state you want. They say put in Illinois, IL, hit OK, and by golly, there's all our Illinois. Confirm that 3 records appear. Good. And now it says there, save it, yes. You never get in trouble for saving. Okay, now it says open the total fees query in design view. Modify the query by creating a calculated field. Okay, so we're going to go over here. We're going to create a calculated field. It's going to sum the total of the registration, the guest fee, and the workshop fee. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a total one here, this calculated field. It's going to be totaled. There's a lot of ways to do this. You can use the Zoom and type in, or you can use the builder. I like to use the builder. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do this, and I'm going to say I want to go to the table, and we are in the registration table. Okay, and I want to take the registration fee, and I'll say plus the guest fee plus the workshop fee. And that's going to say okay, and that's going to be called expression 1. Notice where the colon is. To the left-hand side, I'm going to type in total fees. Now, we will see if this gives us credit for this or not. That's the way I do it. Sometimes in the textbook, they want you to do everything with the zoom box, with here. They want you to type everything in here. I find it easier to let it do it. Let's hit the go button. There we go. There's our total. Okay. Everything, here's our separate individual prices and a total calculated for us. Okay. Close it. Save it. Yes. Okay. Now we're going to see conference fees query. Here's our conference fees query in design view. Okay. And we are going to modify the query by sorting the records in descending order. Here's our calculated field. Okay, notice if I go here and I look at the zoom, there's our calculated field. They just did it. They just spelled out the stuff. Okay. Now they want this to be in descending order. Okay, descending order, and display only the top 5%. So we want to return only the top 5%. Run it. See it. There's our 5% of our conference fees. Save it. Yes. Okay. Open the sorted states query. Sorted states query in design view. Modify the query to sort the state field in ascending order. Easy enough. Each state should appear only once. Okay, so what we do to make this happen is we go over here and we go to the properties table. And we tell the properties table, not that properties table, this properties table. New. Let's see where we find it. Let's see here. There is a property. There's the property sheet. Okay, a little tricky to find. And what we want to do is we want to go over here and we want to change we want to turn on our unique values. unique values, because it says on there that we want each state, once it's sorted by ascending order, to only be shown once. Okay, run it, and now see Canada CFGII, okay, but only showing once because of that unique feature being turned on. Okay, now it says create a query in design view, and let's see here. For the registration table, create in design view. First it says use the registration table, and then we want to use the registration fee, the registration guest fee, and the workshop fee. Add a table. Now I'll show you the other way of doing this in case they yell at us for the previous one when I used the wizard to do it for me. Okay, I'm going to go here and I'm going to say zoom it. Okay, so the way this works is you type in the name, aggregate fees, put in a colon. Now, what do you want to do? This is going to be, no, I'm sorry. This is going to be total on that side of the colon. And this is going to be the sum of the three things. So I use left square bracket, registration fee, right square bracket, plus left square bracket, guest fee, right square bracket, plus workshop fee. Oops, and that has to have the left square bracket and the right square bracket. Watch very carefully with your spacing. Any extra spaces here is going to screw this up. So you got to be careful. Then we say okay, puts it in there, didn't yell at us yet. Let's run it. There it is, it worked fine. That might be the way they wanted us to do that other one. Okay, now we're going to save this, and this is where we call this aggregate fee. Aggregate fees. Okay, now it says run it, confirm that it matches figure 2. Oh, never mind. Hold on 1 second here. Add a total. Open the query. 1 minute here. Aggregate fees. Okay, so that's this. And it says here, say, open the query. Now it says we're supposed to have here is supposed to be totaled, and it's supposed to be grouped by let's see, add the total row to the query. Oh, my bad, this is wrong. Never mind, what we have to do is delete this for a second. Let's do this again. And let's create a new one using design view, and they say use the registration table. Okay, and now it says here add these things: registration fee, guest fee, workshop fee. Then it says add a total row. There's my total row. There you go. And then it says calculate the sum of each of the three fields. So instead of group by, we say sum. Sum was way easier than I thought. Okay, so all we did is we turned on the totals after we added the three fields. We tell it that. We can run it. We see the answer. Now it looks just like figure 2 in the instruction book. Okay, there we go. Save this as aggregate fees. Okay. All right, open the exhibitors table in design view. Exhibitors table in design view. Okay, Now it says here, make the exhibitor ID the primary key field. Bingo. Change the field side of exhibitor ID to 4. Okay. Change the data type of the booth cost to currency. And the currency should be set to 0 decimal points. Okay. Add the text basic cost. Okay. Here's our description text. And that's going to be basic cost to rent a 10 by 10, 10x10 booth. Okay, as the description. Basic cost to rent a 10 by 2. Okay, there we go. Close it, save it, yes. Some data may be lost, no problem. Step 22, in the attendees table in design view. Okay, now it says here, add the field status. And status is going to be, we're going to use a lookup wizard. Status. Now we're going to say, we are going to type in the values. So it says I will type in the values. And what do we want to come up from our lookup here? We want it to say member. And now use the down arrow key. Don't hit the enter key. It'll take you to the next page. Non-member, down arrow, and student. These are our 3 options for that. And then it says here, do not allow multiple values. We go over here. It says do not allow multiple values. Limit the field values only to the items in the list. Okay, otherwise people could type in new stuff. We don't want that. Okay, there it is. Save the changes and close it. Okay, most of the attendants of the Economic Development Professional Organization. Okay, most of the attendees are members. So use the update query to update the value of the status field of the attendee to members. Okay, so we're going to do what's called an update query. Create a query, design view, that's where you can find these. What kind of query is it going to be? It's going to be an update query. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to update the attendees table. There's the attendees table. And we are going to update the status field. We're going to update it to member. So you see, it's an update. We're going to update the attendees field, the attendees table, the status field to member. Now, by not putting in any criteria, it's going to do it to everybody. So we're going to click on that. We just put that status field in there, so there's nothing in it. But when we run this, it's going to say, hey, all 37 rows are going to be updated. We'll just say, yep. So now we're going to close this, and we're going to call this update status. Okay. And if we want to look at that attendees field, we'll notice that now we've updated this field so that every field in the table has the word member in it. Open it. View changed now. It says open the attendees field in datasheet view. All right. And then look for CB001, and that person is a student. Okay. Add the caption postal code. Now what we're going to do here is we got the field here, right? You right click on it, and we're going to, let's see here, stop that. Just click on the word, and we are going to, this is our field. So we have that. Now we're going to go here to the fields, and on the fields we're going to change the caption. So the caption, instead of, is going to stay, the name is going to stay that, but the caption is going to be postal code. There's a distinction between the name of the field and the caption of the field. Kind of a silly distinction, but what the heck. There. Okay. And then it says there, close the table. Okay. Create a split form. Okay, create. Now we've got our form wizard. We got more forms. This is where we find our split form. Okay, split form is going to be, we are going to, for the registration table. Hold on a second. Close that. I don't want to save that. I want to do this on the registration table. Excuse me. Registration table. Create. More forms. Split form. There's my registration split form. Okay. Now it says save the form. And this is going to be called, yes, it's going to be called registration space split form. Okay. All right. Now it says the potential donors table contains records that should be appended to the sponsors table. We are going to append a query. Okay, so we're going to create a query. What kind of query? Is it called an append query? We're going to append to. We are going to append this to the sponsors table. Okay, and we are going to append potential donors from this database. Okay, and let's see, append sponsors, append to. Okay.